Four graduate students from MIT file federal discrimination charges against the MIT Graduate Students Union for illegally denying their request for religious exemptions to the forced payment of union dues. Here to talk about this further is the president of the National Right to Work Foundation, Mark Mix. Thank you for joining us.
Stephanie, good to be with you again. Another day, another story of union officials using their compulsory unionism power to basically engage in ideological and philosophical causes that their members disagree with, unfortunately.
And getting to that, I know there's some developments in the case, but give us some background on how this all came about.
Yeah, well, this starts with October 7th, with the attack on Israel and all of the unrest that's risen up since then, both on college campuses in the United States, here in the United States, and of course, obviously, over in Israel and Gaza. But this is more about union power than anything else. And this is the union that has this power to compel you to associate with them and then to compel you to pay them as a condition of that forced association, getting involved in politics, getting outside the lanes of the things that they allege they do for workers, representing them in a workplace. And so they've taken a stand on issues that relate to Israel and the idea that, from the river to the sea, some of these unions are pushing that stuff. And these Jewish students at MIT are against that. They're not necessarily against their union, but they're against their money and their voices being assimilated by the union in opposition to their very culture. And, when they tried to get a religious exemption from this, a sincere religious objection under Title VII of the Civil Rights Code, the union basically decided to send them a letter and said, you don't understand what Judaism is all about. They gave them so-called remedial education about what it is to be Jewish. And they said their defense was, well, the original founder of this union was Jewish, so therefore you should have no complaint. But this is not about the workplace. It's about really issues outside of the workplace, and these people don't want to support it.
One of the students, Will Sussman, wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal detailing how, and that union is the United Electrical Radio and Machine Workers of America, also known as UE, and how, as you pointed out, that union endorses, for example, the Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions movement against Israel. So, as you said, he and other students asked for a religious accommodation to divert their dues from the UE to a charity, but that was denied. What does this say about forcing students to join a union against their will?
Yeah, Stephanie, it says a lot about what our labor policy looks like going back to the 1930s. The union officials had this dramatic power to force you to associate with them and then to add insult to injury to force you to pay them for the, quote, privilege of being forced into this association. And, this is a new phenomenon where we're seeing graduate students in the California State University system. We're actually seeing undergraduate students now who are doing work study and are working on college campuses to pay their tuition that are being unionized. And so I'm not sure where this goes, but I think union officials understand that this is a really interesting field for them to increase their dues revenue and increase their influence on college campuses. And that influence comes with these radical positions they're taking on issues that many of their members may disagree with. Some may agree with it and they be, we're happy for it. But others like Will Sussman and the students here at MIT and professors at City University of New York, I think, Stephanie, we talked about that. We're representing Jewish professors at the City of University of New York who are compelled to associate with a union that literally is saying that Israel should be wiped off the map.
Yeah, and it paints, this just tells, it's the beginning, I feel, as though the tip of the iceberg, but this is just so prevalent and so eye-opening to see what unions and what their political views are. I know that there was a letter, you sent a letter demanding that MIT take steps to remedy the situation by March 30th. Is there any response? Have you heard any response since? And what are your next steps going forward?
Yeah, we're going to add MIT to this lawsuit. We sent a letter to the president. Remember, this was the president of the university that was there on Capitol Hill testifying with the Harvard president and the Penn president, who no longer are the presidents of those universities. This is the one remaining lady that is out there. We're asking her because it's the university that basically is the employer of these people, and they should be the ones protecting and advocating for this accommodation, and they're not. And so we sent a letter saying we expect the university to defend these students and to protect their religious rights under Title VII. And if they don't, we're going to add them to the lawsuit as well. I think that's probably coming. I haven't talked with the attorney who's running the case here on this wall behind me, but I suspect we're going to be doing that, and the letter indicated we would.
Exactly. And again, it just shows unions and what they want to get out of it. I do want to ask though. So you talk about that. Have you spoken with the MIT students since filing this lawsuit? What have they said about this case?
Yeah. Well, Will's been the most outspoken with the op-ed he put in the Wall Street Journal. And then, when told by the union that he didn't know what his religion was all about, he was pretty offended by that. And he's obviously taking the counsel of our attorneys here at the Right to Work Foundation. This is unfortunately, this is not a one-off case. This is not a special circumstance. We're representing workers across the country all the time with these very same issues, whether they be religious issues or ideological issues or partisan issues. This is all part of that kind of forced compulsion that's in the law. And Will is a great spokesman for that, and he has the courage to stand up. And obviously, if he has the courage to stand up, we have the ability and the courage to defend him in a situation like this. And we'll defend any worker that wants to come to us or any employee that wants to come that's subject to this union compulsion when it comes to things outside of the bargaining unit. That's the key, too, Stephanie. This is not something that relates to the workplace. This is something that relates to the conditions of employment. This is a radical political position or a political position, however you want to say it, that's outside the norm of this representational responsibility. The only reason they do this is because they can, and there's really no accountability. We hope to give Will and these students at MIT and other workers across the country that accountability.
And as we pointed out, and they've proposed a solution to have their dues be used for a charity, and that was denied. Yeah. And for them to do that, just a slap in the face of those students. Lastly, where can our viewers go to learn more about you and your work and any updates on the case?
Yeah, Stephanie, they can find us on that internet at www.nrtw.org. That's the foundation's website. There's lots of information and videos there about your rights in the workplace and how you can exercise them and how we can help you exercise those rights. So we encourage folks that have questions about this to go to that website, nrtw.org.
Mark Mix, again, the president of the National Right to Work Foundation. Thank you so much again for your time.
Thanks, Stephanie. Appreciate the opportunity to talk with you.
Thank you.